GM, GM everyone, GM Catalunya, GM Barcelona. Thank you for being here in this panel, the future of NFTs. I'm David, I'm the co-founder and CEO of NFT Price Floor. You can see the pink hoodies everywhere, yeah, this is us. For those who don't know NFT Price Floor, we are kind of the CoinGecko for NFTs, 100% focus on NFTs. And well, we're gonna have a pretty interesting panel about NFTs. Please, anytime, any question, at the end, better, I guess. And today we have Arnau here, we have Cosmin as well. I would like to introduce them. Of course, they're gonna introduce themselves much better. But actually I was checking their Farcaster, their casts, and their Twitter account as well. So I'm gonna mention them sometime. But if you want comment, you have the mic. So
hi everyone. So I'm Cosmin. I work in business development for Open. We were called Get Protocol before. We've been around for 8 years. Have done over 5 million on-chain tickets. That's what we do, on-chain ticketing. Over 20,000 events, including Formula One, Lewis Capaldi, Gucci Mane, really big names. And what we're trying to do is really to take on Ticketmaster and the monopolies and make sure that we offer a fairer future for event organizers to host events and to welcome communities of fans into venues. So that's in a nutshell a little bit about myself. We're based in Amsterdam. I'm originally Romanian. I'm super excited to be here today and talk to these two gentlemen about, NFTs and more. Hopefully not calling them NFTs, so whatever that is. Yeah, we're gonna see. I know a question. So, I'm gonna leave it to you, Arnau.
Well, hello everyone. Thanks for inviting me and inviting Revelator to this talk. My name is Arnau. I'm based in Barcelona. I am relatively new in the Web3 space. And I introduced myself into the Web3 and crypto through NFTs because I co-founded a startup called Gudzu about music NFTs. Basically because I come from the music industry and I've been in the music industry forever. I started in the music industry as an independent promoter and to foster the community, and because I thought in cooperation and in a fairer retribution for musicians, artists, and that's the same feeling. That same feeling came to my mind when I first discovered NFTs in 2020. And at that time I was working at Primavera Sound. You might be familiar. It's like a very legacy or traditional music industry. And well, from 2020 to 2022, early 2022, so I was like with my co-founder partner getting familiar with the space, and we made like a business model that we could make a reality in 2022. And yeah, I mean, we made that startup grow, and we saw the rise and fall of the NFT market, and Gudzu, my startup, so fall with the market as well. And more recently, I have joined the Revelator family. Revelator is like a Web2 digital music distribution company, but that exists for the last 10 years. But for the last 2 years, they have been building and developing their own protocol, Web3 protocol, and working in several different interesting projects. Most of them will be introduced tomorrow in the panel that Gilad, the head of Revelator Labs, is doing at 6 p.m. And yeah, most of them involves NFTs. So we will be, I guess, discussing today how NFTs are important for music industry and entertainment in general.
So at the end we have ticketing and then we have music. I guess that's gonna be
yeah, sure.
Yeah, we're gonna try to go a little broader, right? Not just about ticketing and music for sure. This panel, I would like to make it like more interesting than usual panels of maybe you don't need to answer all the questions. Yeah, I'm gonna try to focus a lot. And as well, I would like to talk about the past of NFTs, the present, and even the future. because, as you said, maybe we are not going to even call it like NFTs, right? Because maybe this is a problem. And I think it's really interesting because we have two, well, at least you are now, that you're pretty new. So you are like Web 2 guy, right? Coming to Web 3. And probably interesting to see not just how companies are going to use NFTs somehow, as well, if we share the vision of the technology itself, right? Because at the end, if we're gonna go just to build NFTs for companies, and there is no decentralization, maybe it's not that funny anymore, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, go ahead.
No, I just agree. Yeah.
Well, I like that. So, you, Cosmin, you are at Get Protocol. It used to be called like this. Now it's called Open Protocol, right? And to start, I saw that they are built on mainnet, Ethereum mainnet, Solana, and Polygon, I think.
Polygon.
Polygon
Our token is multi-chain, but our tickets are Polygon.
Okay. Do you think that NFTs have like a niche for different use cases in different blockchains?
Currently, yes, but we don't see that as the future. Like we believe in the multi-chain narrative. We want to become the ultimate dApp layer for onboarding the next millions, billions of users into Web3. We've seen that in the past years by facilitating ticketing to all of these fans without them even knowing that they're using on-chain tickets. There's some really interesting footage on our Twitter channels about, big crowds of tens of thousands of people just filming them and with the caption, these people don't know they have an NFT ticket, right? So I think that's the beauty of it. But no, in that sense, I think, of course, there are different chains that offer different benefits to the applications that are built on. Some are more reliable, some...
How do you pick a blockchain for a specific use case? Why ticketing and Polygon?
I think at the end of the day is we need to facilitate the option, right? So we need to be everywhere, and then the users, which for us are actually event organizers, should pick for themselves what makes sense for them in terms of features, in terms of scalability, in terms of fees, right? All of these things together. So we want to become the ultimate dApp player that does that for ticketing and for onboarding new users. So I definitely don't see like different verticals on different chains. And I think this is a big issue currently in the space that everyone's trying to build their own ecosystem, which makes sense because they're backed by VCs, so they need to somehow generate money for them. But at the end of the day, this really comes to the detriment of the end consumer. So eventually, I think we're either going to end up with a few chains, or we're going to see them much more aligned together and co-building really the ecosystem and the use cases together. That's my take.
Yeah, of course it makes sense, right? The thing is the final users shouldn't even know, right, about that, I guess, right? But of course, builders, we have to pick which are going to be the blockchain that at the end, I don't know, like Arbitrum and gaming probably, right?
But in the end, who cares about what blockchain is the NFT?
Closer.
Hello. I was saying, in the end, who cares about which blockchain is the NFT minted or deployed in? I mean, if we are aiming for mass adoption, I mean, I don't care, to be honest. I don't know the technology behind why airplanes could fly, and I don't know how it works.
But at the end, you work with magicians, right?
Yeah.
Do you choose for them, or how do you do it?
I mean, they don't care, and they care about how to optimize the way they make money and the way how they engage with their fans. But they don't care if it's called Polygon or Optimism or Polkadot. I don't know, So they care about more practical things. And I know this is a super techie conference, and it makes sense to discuss how make the technology more efficient, of course. But when it's about to talk to the end user, so we shouldn't talk about technology. We should talk about how to make it more seamless, more easy to use, more UX friendly, and efficient in terms of the way how artists and make money and how the fans can have like a closer relationship with them, basically.
Yeah. Let's say with you, Arnau, because you mentioned a tweet that you said that it's funny how Twitter still people know it as Twitter, right? Even if they change the name. What do you think about NFTs? Because you are the Web2 guy here, right? So how should we call NFTs at YouTube as well?
Yes, I mean, it's somehow related to what I was telling before. I mean, NFT is the acronym for non-fungible token. I mean, I guess that if you go to the street and you ask 10 persons what a token is, they probably they don't know.
So should we call it digital asset?
Yeah, or digital asset, or digital merchandising, or digital pressing, or collectible. I mean, for example, in the real life, I buy vinyl. I don't know what the chemistry formula for vinyl is, but I mean, I tell you.
Yeah, but there is just one of them, right? Or there are many different materials to build a vinyl. At the end, it was one that worked, right?
Sure.
I think there's no longer a debate here, in my mind. I think it's the use case, not the technology. So whether we're talking about records, tickets, tickets are just tickets. Digital records are just digital records. Collectibles are just digital collectibles are just digital collectibles. So it's not. Yeah, I think of course this conversation has been going a lot in the past 2 years, especially. In my mind, there's no longer a debate.
I have to say that also, at least in the Web3 music scene, which is where I'm currently they don't even talk about collectibles. They talk about music on chain. So, and in the end, is that you wanna distribute your music in the Web2 business. You go to Revelator, for example, if you are a band and you want your next release to be available in all the streaming services, Apple Music, whatever. But now you have also the chance that this music is in the blockchain, no? And in the end, this is an NFT, and you can just put your music on chain, and that's how most of these music NFTs are being called now. So even no collectibles.
Yeah, I think a very big disadvantage usually in innovation is that we're too tech focused. Like Rick from Outlier Ventures mentioned yesterday that we should think less about technology and more about use cases. So 2 years ago, it was really interesting to think about NFTs as this new way of distributing something valuable and unique online, right? The first way, really. But today, I don't think it's. I think that's just the first step, right? It's the first step. We passed it. It's no longer enough. We cannot think of them just as those tokens of value. We need to actually attach to them a use case, and that's what their name becomes. It's no longer the NFTs, as I said. It's the tickets and everything that comes to it. The use case. It's not the technology.
Okay, I don't know if everyone agrees about that, but yeah. What happened these last 2 years with the bear market? What did you do until today? You said that you closed your own company and then started to work with something like this, sorry, with Revelator as well. You moving from Get Protocol to Open Protocol, maybe just a rename.
Yeah.
But I know that there was actually a big change from centralized to decentralization. So can you tell us these last 2 years, what happened in the NFT, ticketing, music?
So first of all, in a bear market, you should be optimistic, and in a bull market, you should be pessimistic. So this is something that everyone here should get, right? So you need to hope for better times in a bear market. In a bull market, you shouldn't use all your funds. So we've spent most of our time building in the past 2 years. We also secured funding last year in the summer, 5 million from Animoca, Tezos, Redbeard Ventures, and Merit Circle. They led it. So that's what happened for us. But what we realized is that we cannot take on the ticketing industry without going permissionless, without going open source, without opening up our tooling. We went down the sales route, which made a lot of sense because most ticketing companies, Web3 ticketing companies, have been struggling with real numbers because they actually didn't build the mechanisms they needed, the features they needed for event organizers. They had the NFT issuance as tickets, but they didn't have delegation, they didn't have invoicing, they didn't have dynamic seating, they didn't have all of these features that you as an event organizer cannot choose a ticketeer for without, right? So that's a lot of what we get wrong. We think that the innovation alone is sufficient, but actually it's a part of the change, right? So you need to have everything that was before and add the value that we're creating here in order to be able to really compete. So that's what we've seen in the past 2 years. And now with, like I'm not sure how much you know about the ticketing industry, but let me tell you how it works. You as an event organizer, you need money to finance your event. You don't have the money until you sell the tickets. And until you sell the tickets, you need to pay for stuff. You need to pay for the venue, you need to pay for the artists to give advances. So you need to get that money from somewhere. Banks will usually not give you the money. So who gives you the money? The ticketeers. So you go to Ticketmaster, you tell them, okay, I need 100K. They give you 100K, but they tell you that you need to sign a contract for 5 years. You need to use our ticketing. You need to use our venues because Live Nation and Ticketmaster, the biggest promoter, Live Nation and Ticketmaster, are working together, and we take 10% of all the fees. So basically, you're stuck in their ecosystem. That's your only option to, as an event organizer, to start off or to finance that event. So you just do it, right? At the end of the day, you want to be able to get your event going. So this is how the current music event industry works. So what we're trying to do is to make sure that at all steps of the way, we are opening up the tooling needed for event organizers to find financing, to issue their tickets, to have post-event engagement and keep the flow going without having to go into these draconic deals that they've been going in for the past decades, right? In this full-on monopoly that's been going on in this industry. So this is the realization we came at in the past few months, really, going from Get Protocol to Open and realizing that that's really the only way forward. And honestly, that is the power of what we are doing here, right? If we want to keep closed ecosystems, why are we building things on the blockchain? I guess that's the question, yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, last 2 years. Yeah. Well, 1 year. Something that I have learned with the past 2 years is that 1 week in Web3 is like 1 year in music industry. So it changed everything super quickly. I wasn't that familiar with this. If I would have known this before, maybe I would have reconsidered my position as an entrepreneur, because I am a very cautious person. But well, having that said, I think that the beer market is an excellent moment for building and for rebuilding as well. This is like a very new space. I mean, we're too early is a sentence that I've been hearing a lot within the past year. And it's true that there have been a lot of fluctuation with cryptocurrencies. The NFT market, as we know it, plunged. However, I have been following the market, of course, and seen very, very interesting NFT initiatives and communities born, right? For example, Zora. Zora, for me, is like a great example of innovation and how they themselves has adapted to the new current environment. I mean, NFT prices when I started in this space were millions of dollars, well, the equivalent of millions of dollars. And at the current moment, you can, all the NFTs that you, or most of the NFTs you can buy in Zora cost you $0. And they still retributing the creators. So I read a tweet the other day from the founder that he was saying that the last month they distributed $1 million among the creators community. Why? Because they have reformulated the revenue model. So they are, the NFTs cost $0, and they retribute the creators thanks to the minting fees. That's like unbelievable and very interesting and innovative.
Yeah, I actually have a question for both of you, because I like that you mentioned Zora. I think we're seeing, when it comes to creators, we're seeing a shift from making money from minting to tips now. And it actually engages new behavior, right? So artists are actually engaged in new behaviors in order to generate tips and not mints, right? So I think it's interesting because we're experiencing new potential revenue models for artists on chain. And I just wanted to ask you, what do you think about that? Do you think, how is it going to evolve? Do you think tips are going to replace mints? Is mints the entry point, and then tips is how you keep the community engaged and how you generate sustainable revenue?
We are really happy for creators, but for me, all these drops that they are free, there's like the meme version for NFTs. I mean, they are free, you just mint it, right? It costs $2, 2 point something dollars, so they are practically free. They are just, maybe some of them, it's not about the creator, sadly, it's about that maybe some of them someday actually are worth some money. I think it's just kind of a gamification thing, personally, right? But the good thing is that at the end, creators get money. So,
what if that's the entrance, right? Like you have this NFT collection, and then you get the community, right? You get people excited about it. We've seen this. We've had a free drop on Zora on base, 44,000 mints, 33,000 unique minters, so quite a lot. Everything organic, and this brought a lot of people excited to the on-chain ticketing manifesto.
A marketing strategy.
Yeah. So and from then on, you can actually build up, like, again, with tips, not necessarily mints, because we see, what I've been seeing is that less focus on minting multiple editions and doing that back to back, and more on the tipping culture, right? And creating content that generates tips instead of creating strategies that generate mints. Does it make sense?
Yeah, I mean, for creators, you just can reach the whole wall with a free drop, right? And you have an open edition, limited time if you want, for a month, and then there are hundreds of thousands of mintings, and they already know you because of that, right?
And I have to say something. I mean, it's collecting now in Zora or in Sound XYZ is easy, and I have to say it's fun.
Yeah, they integrated Apple Pay as well on Zora. So yeah.
And I mean, I remember when I started in the NFT space, buying an NFT was something really difficult, and now you can do it like in less than a minute. I mean, that's great.
Now that you're asking, maybe next week or 2 weeks, you can actually get drops, free drops on NFT Price as well. Thank you for that.
Nice.
Hopefully, the CTO over there. So you were mentioning about NFT finance and NFT financialization before.
Yeah.
How can you use, with the ticketing industry and NFTs, how can you actually be inside of the NFT fi sector as well?
Yeah,
how can it be a use case for you and the creators, artists?
It's not difficult, but we're the only ones doing it, so it's really interesting. So what we're doing, we're using the tickets as collateral, which can only happen on chain. We're using them as a collateral in a pool where anyone, just like any lending pool, you can put your own money, crowdfund the event, and then get yield back from the ticket sales. Once a ticket gets sold, a certain percentage gets back to the pool and into the pockets of, or into the wallets of those who have supported the event. So in this way, we can decentralize event financing and allow them to have another alternative to get the loans they needed in order to finance their events. So this is, I think, a really big unlock, because it's the biggest issue in this industry, and it's the main reason why there is a monopoly. Ticketmaster alone has somewhere in between $4 to $10 billion just for this, and they don't care if they lose money. They just want to keep their monopoly over ticketing. I think we've seen recently, like always, we've seen in DeFi how many funds we can attract in a very limited period of time. So although 4 to 10 billion sounds like a lot, we know that this can get much bigger in any financial or DeFi, NFT Fi app that gets built on chain. So really excited to explore this further and to give more freedom to event organizers, really.
These are actually something that traditional companies, ticketing companies, they cannot do that at the end.
No.
Right? So that's the differentiation.
Yeah.
What's the blocker? Where you are not just overtaking the traditional ones? Because you're offering something really, really valuable, right? What's the stopper?
Well, Firstly, you need to have more success stories in this area. So we've just started this off. You need to show investors that they can actually earn yield from this. We're looking at somewhere around 8%. So that's quite all right. So first of all, we need to have that to attract the investor. Then secondly, it's a lot of education for event organizers, right? Most of them don't know this. I mean, almost nobody knows this exists yet, right? Because we've just launched it. So we've only done a private event financing pool, and we're looking at opening it up and allowing like NFT Paris or other big conferences we're working with to tap into that and to promote the use case. But these are the two blockers, right? It's one, showing that you can actually earn yield from this, and two, showing event organizers that this is a good alternative to their current ways. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is interesting, no? Because again, so we are still too early, and there are very few companies doing what in the ticketing space, doing what Open Protocol is doing it now, and in the equivalent side in the music business. So it happens something similar, right? In the discographic world, so if you are an independent artist, you sometimes rely on money to push your career. So until now, what the artists were doing was going to Warner, to Universal, Sony, and signing like very evil contracts against, to have like an advancing against like contracts that were really difficult to understand, and they probably get the artist career. So now it happens. This could change thanks to the real use cases of NFTs, no? And Revelator, for example, what is doing in the record label side, like an equivalent to what Open Protocol is doing, is working on royalty tokens. So we are offering the possibility to the music artists to tokenize their royalty to their Web2 royalties and get payments in the Web3 in stable coins. So that's how the smart contracts are becoming the transparent way of how they do make the different split of their royalties, and then they can put that in a DeFi pool, and then artists can get advancings against their future royalties. So that's really interesting, no? And without having to sign with a deal with a major label.
How is Spotify and the big ones facing all this wave of Web3 tokenization? Can you tell us a little bit?
Sure. Well, I mean, they are skeptic in general. Spotify has experimented. Well, all the major players have been experimenting with Web3. Spotify enabled token-gated playlists. Warner, it is probably the major record label that has been experimenting the most in the Web3 space. Probably Sony is the from the major record labels the one who's more afraid. That being said, royalty tokens, for example, is nothing that it go against Spotify. So it's totally aligned. In the end, there are royalties that are now not being monetized in the Web2 space. So what Revelator is doing is providing some innovation in the space in order that all these royalties that are being now lost, so they can be monetized in the Web3 space, like providing this on-ramp. And then the artist gets the USDC, so and that's all. So
I guess they are not really happy, right, of this new way of sharing revenue?
yeah, well, I mean, when the big players see they are losing their ways of monetization, so of course they are not really happy. But again, so Spotify, that it doesn't really affect to them, I believe.
There is a discussion here that I like. We don't necessarily have to get into it, but since music lost its value with streaming, the question is, should consumption be free and ownership scarce, which means that you own the record but anyone can listen to it, or should we still pay for consumption? It's just an interesting thought, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, it can be like the subject for a whole panel.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean.
yeah, exactly. That's why. But it's yeah.
Okay, so last question about the present state of NFTs. On NFT price for example, what we do is we categorize NFTs. I don't know if you agree with that. The most famous one, the largest by market cap, if you want to call it like this, are PFPs, profile pictures. Then we have art, we have historicals, but they are part of the PFP usually. We have art and gaming. Later on, we have as well utility, metaverse, whatever, right? So what do you think about this categorization? I don't know. Some artists, sometimes they are like, yeah, we don't like to be categorized about anything. We can be art, we can be whatever. We don't like to be priced, for example. We don't want to put a price on our art. Yeah. So in our ecosystem, it's kind of hard sometimes to put names on it. I don't know what you think about it. I mean, from the ticketing industry, from music, what do you think about PFPs or?
Again, I think this comes back to one of the previous questions, which is related to the use case, right? If it's in-game cosmetics, it's cosmetics, right? So if it's tickets, it's tickets. If it's collectibles, it's collectibles. If it's records, it's records. So it's just, I mean, there is categorization, but you don't think of it as categorizing NFTs and then like you put NFTs up there on a pedestal and then you go down and you split it in different sections, but rather, in my mind.
But the good thing, I guess, is that you can actually create a PFP collection and then actually can have utility, can have music, can be an art for someone. So it's fine if we just talk about, yeah, it's fine, it's music, that's all, right? But now we have the ability to actually be more than one category. I don't know if you know what I mean, right? So I don't know what Web2 people on the music thinks. In the ticketing industry, yeah, I guess that's pretty clear. Yeah, a ticket is a ticket. But it's inside of NFTify as well, so it could be actually investment asset, right? So what do you think gonna come after all these new use cases in the industry? What do you think that is gonna happen with NFTs? PFP is gonna disappear? I mean, as Arnau was mentioning, everything was down 99%, like everything, right? So what's gonna happen? But CryptoPunks, of course, yeah. But what do you think gonna happen? People gonna forget about those PFPs, about art, and they're gonna use it as a tool? Because this is what I was reading from you. Is that just a tool, or is something else?
I think it's, for me, or what I think now is that it's going to be a combination. For instance, tickets will transform into digital collectibles, into memories. We've seen Pandora, like the ERC-404, which combine different parts of crypto, right? Fungibility with non-fungibility. So I think it really is just going to come to the point where, yeah, we're going to see a lot of more of these combinations. So we're not going to see PFPs. You're going to see them having some sort of initial utility, like a ticket, and then maybe transform in a PFP. They transform into a community, and people align with that, or whatever that is. So yeah, it's just, I don't think it's going to be separate. I think it's going to be much more interconnected.
Totally, I 100% agree. I mean, collectibles will still remain for sure. I mean, and they will probably grow in the future. I mean, digital identity is so important and a real utility for the PFP. I mean, and even the NFTs you use for gaming to define your own identity, online digital identity. That's a fact. But the real use case of NFTs, or the real, or how I envision like the future trends in this regard, will probably be like 100% stick to utility, to token-gated experiences, to infrastructure, to direct-to-fund experiences. I mean, that's how it's going to work. I mean, for example, we have a real example of an NFT use case in the mainstream. I saw that the famous beer, Estrella Damm, from Barcelona, they are doing for the second consecutive year a campaign which is called Pulsera, which is an NFT minted on Polygon, and that gives you access, all-time access to all the festivals that Estrella Damm is sponsoring in Spain. And it's just a golden ticket that you find in a bottle, and then you redeem it, and it gives you all-time access to the festival. That's a real use case of an NFT. This is a campaign that has been developed by a famous advertisement company here in Barcelona called Fuego Camina Conmigo. And I mean, they don't say this is an NFT, because they don't really need to say this is an NFT. It's the same as other real use cases. For example, what we do in Revelator. So we don't have to explain to the record labels or to the indie musicians what an NFT is, to explain how difficult to understand is the blockchain technology. Because they only care about how to make more money or how to be more efficient. If a royalty token, for example, can enable them to access to advances or to monetize royalties that they are now losing. So,
yeah, I guess always the question is just one question: what's the need you're solving? Why are you using NFTs for anything that you're doing? Do you have an answer? Great. You don't, you should probably stop doing it.
But at the end, somehow we are empowering them, right? You are telling them all the good things, and it's thanks to the technology behind. Sure. So don't you think that there is this, like when we're talking about, of course, user experience on with wallet, for example, or with account abstraction, all these kind of things. At the end, there's a moment that people need to realize that we are empowering them. Well, the blockchain is empowering them. They are now self-custody on that, right? So for the same for creators, for communities, it's not just, oh yeah, these are the good things about this non-NFT, if you want to call it, yeah, digital asset. But at the end, it's NFT, and it brings, when you say NFT, you know all the good things that brings that.
Yeah, but I think you need to understand what to keep and what to remove. Apple didn't remove their home button in the beginning because they knew that the user first had to use it as a starting point. Like if it's too overwhelmed by the new change, by the new design, they need this button to know, okay, this is where it starts all over. So I think the same I really don't understand why the same principles don't apply in Web3 in so many applications, especially when it comes to user experience. I think this is an easy fix. The hard fix is really how do you integrate each step of value into the user's experience so that you can get them from point 0 to point 1, right? For instance, we did tickets. You don't know it's an on-chain ticket, right? Okay, next. How do we transform that to become valuable so that it's not just a QR code, it's a collectible? How do we get to the next point? How do we integrate them into a social setup, into a workcast of sorts, And, step by step, how do you do it? And first, it's reduction, and then it's addition. Now we just have addition, I think. So.
Yeah, I agree. Want to add anything about that? Okay, so just moving to last questions almost, so start to get ready about the if you have questions. And now you said something in a tweet, let me quote you. I believe as NFTs as infrastructure rather than consumer-facing products. Yeah, I guess this is really similar to what we are saying. What can you say about that? Because as I was mentioning, we did it as a tool. You give all the benefits of that, but the infrastructure is there, is what the money is going now. We have to pick which L2 or L3 or wherever. of course, it's something that we have to fix as a builders. But you cannot just say that the infrastructure. Of course, you can, yeah. But we have to care about the infrastructure. It's not if we are missing a guy that was about to come here at the panel from Solana, right? So it's not the same building on Solana or building on Ethereum or building on Avalanche at the end, right? So it has to be important, the infrastructure, what you pick, if it's decentralized enough or not. Even if you say that, of course, in this case, musicians they worry or not about it, right? So for us, builders, we need to actually pick what's the best infrastructure for our use case that we're gonna simplify, we're gonna just make it so easy to later give it all the benefits without all the harms. Do you agree, guys?
Yeah, so is that a question? Like it's a yes or no question?
I can have opinions too here, right? So
yeah. Yeah, I mean, sure. To me, it's more about if you're building a company, because that's what you're building, you shouldn't rely on one party, one chain. That's in my opinion, because you don't know. It's at the end of the day, it's all about usage, and it's all
we
about.
We can go to Cardano, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, if look, it's a lot of risk. Whether something's really popular now or not, it's a lot of risk. So I think you need to de-risk your activity as a company builder, as an entrepreneur, and you should go multi-chain as much as possible. Of course, you first need to have a working solution, at least on one chain, and then start to diversify that.
Yeah, well, I totally agree. In the end, projects that aiming to be mainstream or for mass adoption, so it should be multi-chain or chain agnostic as much as possible. For example, I'm not a tech guy, so I cannot sadly provide much background on this. But that being said, I have to say that NFTs got popular in the network, and now, for example, they have been splitting on different communities. No, in the music community, for example, the most popular chain now is Optimism and all the subchains like Base, whatever. So why? Because minting is very cheap, and if you want to make it popular and to amplify like the number of music fans getting into this space, you need to make it easier for them. So by one hand, guaranteeing like security, guaranteeing it's cheap and easy to use, and that's why.
Do you agree on subsidizing fees now that they are so low? Do you think that it's a good thing for, I don't know, whoever is creating the ticket in that case? They are cheap now, so
yeah, I think for consumer crypto it helps a lot, definitely. That's why you also see like now a lot of even on Base of having L3s created so that you can get the benefits of low fees and not instability. You never know what happens. For us with tickets, imagine like if one day you have to pay tens of dollars in gas for one ticket. The company becomes, like the event organizer loses money, we become unsustainable, so you cannot have that. So I think, yeah, for consumer crypto, it's definitely helpful. Yeah.
Okay. So last question. Besides ticketing and music, what other sectors on NFTs do you think that we should have an eye on?
Thinking.
In my opinion, for example, fashion as another consumer-facing product. Well, I read one of the questions that you haven't made us, which was related to brands. And if I don't remember badly, you were saying that one influencer said that the brands should. Yeah, won't succeed in the NFT world. For example, Nike bought Artifact, which is a really nice project. I mean, it's a real use case. I mean, for the people who buy sneakers, for example, if you want like, if you are spending like a big amount of money in a limited edition sneakers, you would like to have like the digital replica or whatever, or you can play with some augmented reality things. Then NFT, other use cases that I like is the fan token in sports, for example. That's a real use case in that particular case. Collectibles in sports, I mean. And NBA Top Shots is one of the projects that we more fell in love when we started my startup Gudru, because we really wanted to emulate what these guys made. That's like a fucking amazing project. And yeah, I mean, maybe because I'm a collector and I love collecting, so I don't care collecting something in the physical world or in the digital world, basically.
Yeah. For me, it's supply chain. Easy. It's using it for getting everything, like all physical products from start to finish, resell everything. Yeah, supply chain.
Supply chain with NFTs.
Yes.
Interesting. Love it.
Real estate.
Real estate. Anything
Well,
else?
No.
So it's all from our side. I don't know if you have any question for Cosmin or Arnau here.
Hello, very interesting panel, first of all. I have two questions, so maybe we can discuss the first one and then move on to the second one. For the first one, it is clear that it exists, like all this narrative of, okay, we have to shift the utility of the NFTs to something that really adds value to the user. But at the end of the day, like we have seen that the top market cap chain is still Ethereum, which basically is full of PFP chains, and now we have ordinals like coming from zero and having like crazy floor prices with zero utility. And I think the reason of that is because we haven't like really seen a very useful case of NFTs, which is basically making money. Like when a trader trades gold, it's not because they want the gold for making chains, but because they have the possibility to make money. And I think that's like a narrative in NFTs that we haven't explored like deeply with all these like trading platforms for just for make money. Like, what are your thoughts on that? Like, should we like better expand that market and really to push forward into, okay, NFTs as a way to trade and a way to make money, or should we like just stick like, no, we have to develop infrastructure, we have to really add value behind the NFTs, and I have to receive something either in real life or a pass for my life or something. What are your thoughts on this?
I think it's a bubble. And I do agree on the fact. I mean, every chain is complaining about the fact that they don't have enough powerful dApps outside DeFi mostly. Besides DeFi, it's pretty much dead everywhere. No real use cases, no real numbers, no real users. Just maybe like even in DeFi, like just airdrops. I've seen it. Starknet had 8 active users after the airdrop. This is daily. That's crazy, right? So it just shows that the incentives are misaligned. So in my opinion, I think it's moving away from financial incentives and really solving people's needs or businesses' needs or whatever needs you can find out there using the technology. So I completely agree with that statement. I personally think we shouldn't go down the route of keeping or pushing NFTs as this financial instrument to earn something from, but rather the infrastructure behind.
Yeah, I haven't much to say because I completely align with what you said. I mean, and what meme coins are now to the crypto scene is what NFTs were in the beginning. So,
Well, really good question, I have to say. The thing here is that, of course, for me, trading or all this speculation of NFTs, it's necessary for the future because it adds liquidity. It adds everything that the capitalism brings, right? But it's good for the consumer because it brings liquidity to the consumer. So what Blur did, right? At the end, Blur or Magic and wherever, all these trading platforms, at the end, what it's doing is just, there's people making money, 90% lose money, 10% make money, like in traditional finance, that's all. But it brings liquidity to the consumer. So even if we don't care, right, because we go into the consumer and we want to bring actual use cases and added value, we need that. Sadly, we didn't need that. So I agree that they have to exist. And like always, like any trading thing, crypto, no crypto, stock market, gold, NFTs, it's fine. But not for the future use cases that we get to, like Vitalik said, in 5 years, we all have to use blockchain, NFTs, whatever, right?
It's a dot-com bubble. It's the dot-com bubble all over again. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, and my second question was regarding how to onboard the next users. Like for me, the biggest industry in which NFTs can be applied is gaming, like for sure. But we as NFT traders are used to see an NFT and see, okay, I can buy it for 5K and then maybe I'll resell it for 7K. But if you go to a Web2 player and say you have to buy this skin for 5K, he'll say, what? Like it's not in his mind ever. So, and that happens also for tokenization in the music industry and tokenization for the ticketing industry, tokenization in real world assets. So how to address this problem in order to like correctly communicate to the users that you are getting something else and that this market just performs like this?
Yeah, I think it's very easy. First, we should build working games, not collectibles. Like, of course, a collectible is valuable within a game you enjoy playing, not the other way around, right? So it's really that. I think what a lot of builders don't understand is that it's much less about the on-chain aspects of it, which are incredibly valuable in working ecosystems and apps, but it's much more about everything else. I think it's 10% of the effort should be on-chain, and that could bring a lot of the benefits, like maybe 80%, but then the rest of the effort should be about creating apps that users enjoy spending time on and that find us better solutions, right? Same goes with ticketing, same goes with games, with everything. So it's first, build better games, or build a game that has mass appeal. Because for instance, Ubisoft, with all the funds that some gaming chains have, they would have built another GTA, and we cannot build a game at all. So just that comparison.
Just to add two examples here, two French companies actually from Paris, that they are games and they use NFTs. One is Sorare, or whatever you call it. A lot of players, they spend thousands, hundreds of euros in football cards. And then these football cards, of course, later they just went down 98%, but they still play. They know that their cards are worthless right now. Here, the problem is the company that they did tokenomics, are really, really bad tokenomics. And the other example is Comet. For example, now they rebranded to Cosmic Battle, something like this. They are as well from Paris. And they actually just destroyed all the NFTs because they didn't do actually a proper tokenomics as well. There was a high, really, really high inflation. They had to destroy all of them and start over from zero with a really good one. And actually what they have is non-NFT cards where you can play for free. If you want more advantage, you buy the NFT cards with money, whatever, right? So we've seen that they are evolving. They know what they are doing. They're trying to actually build fun games. But what we did at the beginning, like Axie Infinities, it didn't work. And we just learned. Now we have to see if this is going to continue actually a good way of making, creating games with NFT nomics, or we don't need NFTs for that, right? We will see, we'll see. Is there any other question? Yeah, one more, I go.
Yeah, I just have like two quick questions. Basically, like the secondary market, right? Whether like you actually you have like an option on your platforms to trade on secondary markets. So, like for example, on concerts like Taylor Swift, right? Like the prices are just enormous for resales, right? And
we're working on on-chain secondary for that, those reasons. So that all event organizer can set up their rules, can set up like a max price and a minimum price. So there's some leeway for supply and demand, but it doesn't get to the point where scalpers and fraudsters just increase that tenfold, which is only fair because what currently happens is you're talking, okay, you should leave it open for everyone to be allowed to do whatever they want, but the truth is that while you're doing that, you're harming everyone who's creating value in the ecosystem, like event organizers and artists, and you're only giving value back to the fraudsters and even the ticketing companies who don't even share some of that revenue with event organizers because they keep all the fees for themselves. So, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and like, to be honest, I'm more wondering about the relationship between organizations that actually are willing to make the ticketing transparent, right? And
Yeah.
just your experience, right? Because, for example, I know some events are not willing to actually to share any information because probably there is some like shady things that they want actually to keep secret, right? So
Yeah, no, there's definitely that we see that happening. Taylor Swift is a good example because it's not Taylor Swift who's the bad actor there, but it's their management team. They want to make as much money as possible, so then they go to Ticketmaster, and Ticketmaster sells 70% on the primary, 30% on the secondary. You have then scalpers who come in and bots who buy the tickets. But there are a lot of event organizers out there who just want to have the best experience possible for their fans. And not only that, they want to have control, right? And by having this control, they can have a number of benefits. First of all, with secondary market on chain, you know who's actually coming to your event instead of just guessing. You know who's buying the ticket initially, but then if it gets resold, you don't know who's going to be there, so then you don't know who your fans are. Then you have control over the fees that you get, so every single resale brings you more revenue, more money, so eventually you can earn more than you would with the shady mechanisms you did before. So there are a lot of these mechanisms that incentivize event organizers both financially and ethically to pursue on-chain solutions to ticketing. Yeah.
That's all the time we have for this panel, so let's have a big round of applause.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, guys.
If you have any questions.